I want to talk about my own inability and Virginia Tech. On this day, April 16, 2019, it's been 12 years. 12 years since me and my friend Carl had arrived on the Virginia Tech campus, and we were strolling around in the windy and snowy morning of the campus area, walking in and out of buildings, and we came to this crossroad basically where we were deciding whether to go left or to go right. For some reason, and I think it had something to do with the architecture, because we had both taken an architecture class, which we had both not finished. We decided to go right. And about 5-7 minutes later, the shooting began in the building to the left. And at the end of the day, 33 people, including the shooter, was dead, and we were trapped in the staircase of the other building, and I had my camera with me, so I filmed some of the commotion that was happening outside. And obviously we didn't know what was happening, we just saw people running, we saw people injured, and we saw the guns getting bigger and bigger from law enforcement. And this whole experience, I decided to make sort of like a personal documentary where I interviewed people that were close to me around the event. And the year after, that was my final project for my class, my graduating project, the rough cut of this documentary. And then I went back the year after that as well. So I've been back, actually 3 times now. I was also back on the 10-year since it had happened in 2017. And what I wanted to do was, I wanted to create, a documentary that was based on my experience and the people around me. But throughout this whole thing, that project became sort of a monster. It became so big, and I had trouble actually personally handling it, because I was afraid of a lot of things. I was afraid that people would be disappointed in the project. I was afraid that the lack of CNN coverage that I was actually a part of, where we were interviewed by Soledad O'Brien, Anderson Cooper, and Wolf Blitzer, that the inability to use that footage because it would cost too much to have it in it would only, the documentary wouldn't be as good as I had hoped. And also, what if I don't succeed? What if it's not as good as I had envisioned, how I saw it? And then I think on a personal level, aside from the shortage of the news coverage footage, I also started having doubts in other areas of, will it be good enough? And then adding time to that, the fact that time has passed, it's been 12 years. In the beginning, the first year and a half or so, I was afraid that I was going to offend people by, capitalizing on their grief, even though this had nothing at all to do with money. It was just, in a way, a chance for me to tell my story. But I think one of the greatest fears I actually had was that, what if I hadn't thoroughly delved with the whole thing? What would happen if I stepped down into the darkness that was so much of that week? And what if I couldn't handle it? That was only the second time I've ever been to the States, and the first time was during the 2004 election, so it's and then I've also sort of within myself blamed that I don't really have the hardware to do a massive project like this, and it becomes an evil spiral, because there are people invested in this in different ways. Dane Walker, for example, who has written music pieces for the documentary, and who's also written and composed and arranged music for other videos that I've done since, and he actually, he arranged and composed our music for our wedding.
and we got to meet 2 years ago for the first time, right around this time 2 years ago, for the first time after knowing each other for 10 years. So even though there was so much darkness in the event that happened, there were also so much light that came out of the people that you met while I was over there that first year, and that I've kept on meeting afterwards. But still, it's like I've come to a point where I think that, where I realize that I have to kind of let go of my grand visions and kind of just do it. Do it as well as I can with the means that I have and the strength that I have. Because it is a fascinating story in many ways on a personal level. And it's sadly also something that is still very much in the news, even outside of the US. So I want to try and push myself to go beyond my own doubts and to finish this and do it as well as I think it can be. Good talk.